On your do now, you did what's called arithmetic long division. Yes? That's what you did. That's what you learned how to do in 3rd and 4th grade. Okay? So in 3rd and 4th grade, you were taught, all right, here's your divisor. How many times does it divide into the dividend, right? So you ask yourself, 12 divides into 27, how many times? And you're like, oh, 2 times, miss. And your teacher's like, good job. Okay? And then you wrote the 2 on the quotient line. Then they told you to multiply. What is 2 times 12? And you're like, 24, right? Then after you multiply, then you subtract it, right? What is 27 minus 24? 3. Okay? And then they're like, all right, good job. Now bring down and do it again. Yes? How many times is 12 evenly divided into 37? 3 times. Good job, class. What is 12 times 3? 36. Good job, class. And then after you multiply, you subtract, and you get 37 minus 36 is 1. And there was nothing left to bring down, right? So then therefore, you wrote this as your R. Our remainder is 1, right? Yes, remember that? All that feels and sounds familiar, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now, as you progress, then your teachers taught you that, okay, we can add a decimal here, add a 0, and keep dividing, right? Y'all remember that? We add a decimal, add zeros, and we just keep dividing. Yeah? Okay. If you had a really awesome teacher in 5th grade, then you also learned that the remainder actually is a fraction of your divisor. So your answer, your exact answer is actually 23 and 1/12. Okay? That was the next step in the progression of long division. Okay? I just said you learn to put a decimal, then add the 0, and then you would get an approximate value. By 5th and 6th grade, your teachers who aren't afraid of fractions would have said, actually, guys, our exact answer is just a fraction of our divisor. And you would end up saying, okay, 277 divided by 12 is actually 23 and 1/12. Okay? That was your progression, hopefully somewhere from 3rd to 6th grade of long division. All right, welcome to Algebra 2. Okay? And Algebra 2, we're going to still do the same steps. We're still going to divide. We're still going to multiply. We're still going to subtract. And we're still going to bring down. The only thing is that we have more to do with it. Okay? It's not just numbers. It's now variables and adding and subtracting involved as well. Okay? But the basic concept is still the same. Okay? So we can divide fractions to get a polynomial quotient. And that's what we're going to be doing. So if your remainder is 0, what that means is that your divisor is a perfect factor of that polynomial. Okay? So if our remainder is 0, then it is a perfect factor. If our remainder is not 0, then it is not a perfect factor. Does that make sense? Okay? All right. So these are like the detailed steps of what we're going to do. The problem was supposed to be at the bottom of your page, but somehow it shuffled to the other side. I think I made the box too big. That's okay. We'll just do it over there. But we're going to follow these steps. We're going to make sure that polynomials are in standard form. By standard form, it means that all terms are present. Okay? If a term isn't present, we have to fill it in with a 0. So for example, standard form for quadratics is ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? Standard form for a cubic is ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. Does this look familiar to what we were typing for the algorithm for Desmos? Yeah. Yes, because those are standard forms. Okay? Now, if I'm missing my b term, I'm going to put a 0 in its place. Does that make sense? If I'm missing my c term, I'm going to put a 0 in its place. All terms need to be present. Okay? All right, there are times where, as you get better, you'll learn, okay, I can do this without that 0. But until you get to that, just put the 0 and do the math, okay? All right, next, we're going to go through the steps. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. The only difference here is we're only dividing the first term, okay? We're only dividing our leading term each time, okay? And then you're going to multiply the divisor by your quotient that you got. Subtract. When you are subtracting with polynomials, what you're actually doing is changing the signs and then combining. Okay, we're going to change the signs and combine. Change the sign and combine. Because we're combining like terms.
Wait, for that AX or AX3 and the AX2, like what made you add D? Like when did you add D? Because you need to have a number.
You need to have that term. So like this is a power 3, power 2, power 1, power 0.
Yeah, but why can't you just get AX squared?
Each coefficient needs to have its own variable. So A, B, C, D. And if it was a
the one above it, that one.
Because this was a quadratic and it started off with AX squared BX plus C. So it already has 2, 1, 0. No, I'm saying these are examples of standard form. They're two different ones, yeah. All right. Are y'all ready to just dive in?
Sure.
All right, so what's going to happen is we're going to in your brain work, I'm going to write it out, okay? And if you need to do it as well until you feel more comfortable with doing it mentally, please write it out, okay? All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is we identify our dividend, and our dividend is 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus 20x minus 46. That is what's going inside of our house, right? So we have 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus 20x minus 46, and it's inside the house. Boom. Our divisor is x squared minus 5. What do you notice here with x squared minus 5?
There's no.
Exactly. We're missing our b term, right? That b term is missing. So when I write it out, I'm going to write x squared plus 0x minus 5 because I do not have a b term. That's what that step is telling you to fill in with a 0. Because adding 0, is that going to change the value of anything? No, I wished adding 0 changed the value, but it's not how it works. All right, so we're going to go through the steps. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So the first thing, step 1, is to divide your first terms. So we're dividing 4x cubed divided by x squared. This is what I'm thinking in my head. What is 4x cubed? Shh, guys, please pay attention. Seriously. Turn your desk, face, whatever you got to do to make yourself attentive. 4x cubed divided by x squared. 4x. Okay, that is your first part of your quotient. Okay, your second step is to multiply. You're going to multiply your quotient times your divisor. So we are doing 4x times x squared plus 0x minus 5.
Oh, wow.
So in your head, this is what you're thinking. What is 4x times x squared times 0x minus 5?
Wait, I have a question about step 1.
Yes.
How come we wouldn't do 4x cubed divided by x squared minus 5?
You only divide the first terms because the first term leads into everything else. Okay, so 4x times x squared is 4x cubed. 4x times 0x is 0x squared. 4x times negative 5 is negative 20x. Oh. Okay. After you multiply, then you're going to subtract. Subtraction means we are changing the signs and combining. So we're going to change and combine. Change and combine. That triangle means change. So instead of you being positive, you're going to be negative. Doesn't really matter about you. Instead of being a negative, you're going to become a positive. And then we combine. The goal is that your first term should cancel out. Does our first term cancel out? Yes. 3x squared plus 0 is going to be negative 20x plus 20x is going to be 0x. Our fourth step is to bring down. So we're going to bring down negative 46. Four x times x squared, you add the powers of the exponents from variables.
So that's not answer?
No,
You go again.
we can go again.
Oh,
Okay. All right, so I'm like, oh, well, looks like I can divide again. So this time, this is now my new first term. This is still my divisor. Okay, so we have 3x squared divided by x squared. That's what you're asking yourself in your brain. What is 3x squared divided by x squared? 3. So the next part of my quotient is a positive 3. After we divide, we then do what? Multiply. So we have 3 times x squared plus 0x minus 5. We're going to distribute. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 0 is 0. And 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. So we divide, multiply.
So we think our
Now we're at subtract. So divide, multiply, subtract. And what does subtract mean? Change signs and combine. What? Negative, doesn't matter, positive. Boom, boom, and what are we left with? Negative 31. And is there anything else for me to do? No. So my quotient is 4x plus 3, and my remainder is negative 31. Because I cannot divide negative 31 by x squared.
Wait, is that negative?
So we're
zero?
dividing everything by.
Is that what?
Is that negative 0?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what 0 is, sir.
If it was negative 31x, would you do?
Your remainder has to have a higher degree than your divisor.
Oh, so it's be negative.
It has to be equal to or higher.
So it could be negative 1x.
If we've already gotten rid of the x squared, so
What?
then you would keep going. All right, are y'all ready to try out your tables? All right, example 2 at your table. I will be walking around. If you don't practice and try, you will not be good at this, and it'll be not so great for you.
Where did you get the 0x from?
The zeros just, all right, here we go. So step 1 is your setup, which includes making sure you have your zeros as your fillers, right? So in my divisor, I'm missing my middle term. So when I write it, it's going to be x squared plus 0x minus 7 divides into 8. That's not an 8. That's a 3. 3x cubed minus 8x squared minus 21x plus 56. Okay? And then I'm going to start. I'm going to start by dividing. 3x cubed divided by x squared gives me 3x, right? After I divide, then I'm going to multiply. 3x times x squared is 3x cubed. 3x times 0x is 0x squared. 3x times negative 7 is negative 21x. After I multiply, then I'm going to subtract, which means I'm changing the signs and combining. These cancel. Negative 8 combined with 0 is going to make negative 8. These are going to do what also? Cancel, which makes it a 0. After I subtract, I then bring down. And I ask myself, can I go again? Yes, the degrees are equal or greater, right? So divide 8x cubed divided by x squared, negative 8. And then I'm going to multiply. Negative 8 times x squared is negative x squared. Negative 8 times 0 is 0. Negative 8 times negative 7 is positive 56. Change the signs and combine, and what happens here?
All of it cancel out.
All of it cancels.
Okay, so I got it.
So that tells me that this is a factor. So it's a perfect factor, which we'll talk more about. But this is my quotient, and the remainder here is 0, if you want to highlight the fact that the remainder. 3x minus 8.
I got it. Very good.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Okay, what about the bottom?
All right. So the bottom, we're going to set it up together, and then you're going to do it. Got it? On your own. Don't ask me. Don't ask your peers. I want you to try for 2 minutes of just you.
This one's trying to do it.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So looking at this one, setup. What does my setup look like? There we go.
Plus 2.
Okay.
Where? Oh, wait, oh, that's the.
4x quadruple
4x to the 4.
plus 0x
Okay. There you go.
plus.
It- Oh, there we go. Plus 0x. It got you, Ren. It got you.
Not talking.
All right, do it. All right, here we go. All right, so let's check in. Here we go. Step 1 is to fillers. We did that, right? Step 2, we're going to divide the first terms. What is 4x to the 4 divided by 4x squared? It's just x squared. The 4s are going to do what? They cancel each other out. Okay? After you divide, then you're going to multiply. X squared times 4x squared is 4x to the 4. X squared times 0 is 0x to the third. X squared times 2 is 2x squared, right? After we multiply, we then do what? Subtract. And what does subtraction mean in terms of polynomial division? Change signs and combine. So we're going to change our signs, and then we're going to combine, and we're left with 12x squared.
Wait.
What?
You divide.
Excuse me? Yes, that's only when you divide. We're combining. All right. After we subtract, we then are going to bring down. So I'm bringing down 0x, and I'm bringing down the 12. And now I repeat, because the degree is equal or greater. What is 12x squared divided by 4x squared? 3. Positive 3. After we divide, we then multiply. 3 times 4x squared is 12x squared. 3 times 0 is 0x. 3 times 2 is 6. So we multiply. Now we're going to subtract. Subtract means change signs and combine. Change the signs, combine, and all I'm left with is 6. So my quotient is x squared plus 3, and my remainder is 6. Yes? Yeah? X squared plus 3. If you want to write it, so when we get to pre-cal, you'll be writing it as x squared plus 3 plus 6 over 4x squared plus 2. That's what we'll be doing in pre-cal. Yeah. Yes, exactly. But right now, are we in pre-cal yet? No, we're just making sure we can do this, right? So that's okay. All right. All right. So let's take a look at your assignment that I passed out to you. So you have enough to get started on your assignment. This is due next Monday. Okay. Have we learned this already? Yes. So could we confidently probably go through and do some of this? Okay. Yeah. All right. You have the tools to get started on it. In all honesty, you can probably do all of the front. Well, up to 7. Up to 6. Up to 6. 1 through 6. When is it due? Monday. Okay. All right. Got it?